Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is intuition and cultivating intuition to be able to come into more authentic expression and realization of our potentials and authentic selves. So, should be fun conversation. Before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. So, let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop, and allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to be here with you this morning. Good morning, Rosalind. So great to have you joining us. And of course, everyone else who's with us. Let's talk about intuition and what it might mean, what it is, maybe. I tend to believe that intuition is a communication from our higher self or our deeper self, our essential self, communicating to us like a GPS in a way, where when you have your maps app or whatever, or your GPS, it's telling you where to turn. And I think that our intuition does the same thing when we allow ourselves to listen. And it's often prompting us to go into directions that might not be the most comfortable, that may be challenging us to step beyond our perceived comfort zone into a leap of of faith in a way. And I guess the question is, how do we know when we're having an intuitive hit? And it may be that there's this little voice that that's trying to get your attention, but it's not going to try against insurmountable odds. You kind of have to be willing to partner with it. And it often shows up as a feeling. It often shows up as a hit in your gut that says, pay attention, or that says something like, not the place you want to go. Like when you think about a choice and you get this. I know we said intuition can be uncomfortable because it pushes you beyond, but it also can be uncomfortable because it's saying, don't go there. I guess we learn to make these discernments over time through experience. Like I have learned that when I don't pay attention and I don't listen, I get bitten. And so I got bitten badly enough a couple times that I learned to pay attention. Like that when I'm getting a message about something, uh, it's important to listen, because the information, what we call intuition could be a convergence of a whole bunch of different intelligences that we inhabit, that come together to sort of create a synergy or a synthesis that becomes sort of a knowing. And we may fight it. So we may fight it because we really want something to be a certain way, perhaps. And our intuition is urging us or coaxing us in a different direction. So this is it keeps coming to mind, this thing that happened yesterday, so I'm just going to share it. I've been meditating, and in the meditation, it's a Joe Dispenza meditation. It's great meditation, that is calling opportunity. And so yesterday, out of the blue, somebody contacted me from 4 or 5 years ago that I had met at a conference on podcasting, and they were offering me a promotional package to get my work out there. And I've been meditating on bringing that opportunity for expansion. And here this thing shows up, and there's a cost, there's an investment to it. And what I have seen in myself, and you may see it in yourself, is that I can have a tendency toward magical thinking. And I guess what I mean by that is I do believe in synchronicities and manifesting and all that great stuff. And I notice that sometimes, because I want something to be a certain way, I end up a bit blinded to what's there. And fortunately, I have enlisted a coach. Good morning, Bernadette. Welcome. So good to have you here with us today. We're talking about intuition, but I'm just telling a story about what happened yesterday. So here's this thing that shows up that looks like it's an opportunity for what I've been asking for. And my first inclination is, oh, this is the universe just responding to my request. And I also know that I have had experiences in the past where I've confused my magical thinking, my desire for something with grace or opportunity, and that I've been blinded to maybe the realities of it. So, or because I want something, I override my gut. And there were certain things about this offer that didn't really sit well with me, but I was having trouble navigating it. So my intuition was call my coach. call my coach, call somebody that can look at this more objectively, that can reflect back to me, a more neutral perspective, perhaps. And this coach pointed out the things that were kind of alarm bells for me. And it may not sound like intuition, because I decided to call my coach, but I think that it was like that was the guidance instead of, yeah, this is it. Because I had that something in my gut that was just sort of twisting a bit that said, maybe you need to stand back and look at this in a little bit more circumspect way, in a little more, with a little more analytical, critical eye. And so the fact that my coach said what she said, and that it resonated for me, that I didn't find myself resisting it. I didn't find myself trying to argue with it. It was more of a confirmation that it kind of validated my intuition and allowed me to pay attention to the subtleties of that rather than the big kind of test or tease, maybe, that that this opportunity might have, because the timing of it really isn't right for me. And so intuition doesn't mean going it alone necessarily. Intuition doesn't mean pretending that we don't know what we know. So one of the things that I know is that with I'm calling it magical thinking. I've gotten myself into trouble in the past, and I wanted to have some kind of wise counsel that could reflect the situation back to me. So, it's interesting. We get these red flags. When I think about the conversation that I had, we get these red flags, and we can tend to overlook them. And we do so at our peril, right? So Rosalind says, since my attack a year ago, I find my dreams are very vivid to the point of reality situations, sometimes scary, and makes me question my vulnerability, looking for firm resolution. That's Bernadette says that. And to the point of reality situation, sometimes scary, and makes me question my vulnerability. So I'm thinking you're talking about a a medical attack where you had health issues, Bernadette. And it's interesting when our dreams are vivid. Dreams are a way to connect with our other than conscious. And sometimes even the scariest of dreams can have positive messaging. And I'm wondering if you might have a resource to help you navigate through the symbols in the dreams. I remember I had some very, very, that's what I thought, where you were saying a massive heart attack, you passed into the other world. Wow. So and Rosalind in between says looking for firm resolution. Yeah, clarity. So passing into another world, Bernadette, you're probably opening channels of communication that hadn't been previously open to you. Navigating those those communications can be really challenging. And you bring up the question of vulnerability, and it's sort of a paradox. We're all vulnerable. We're all incredibly vulnerable at any given moment. And when we give over that recognition to the fact that, to trusting life itself, because here you are, Bernadette, with a massive heart attack. When you're so Bernadette says, makes me scared for what's reality, what's intuition. So intuition, I think intuition is a reality. And it's nuanced. It's really nuanced. And so I think the fear is our greatest limiter. Fear is something that can cloud our judgment, just like magical thinking can cloud our judgment. I'm hoping, Bernadette, maybe that you can enlist the wise counsel of a trusted friend, perhaps, to help you navigate through the language of the symbols of our body and being that show up as intuition. Like I had a dream when I was in college, and I was at a choice point, or a point where I didn't really have clarity of direction. And I had this dream, and in the dream, I was doing work in bronze. And I knew that I needed to do it, even though even though it didn't really make sense, even though it kind of came out of left field. And it led me to the pathway for myself to graduating with a fine arts degree in bronze sculpture. I think that intuition has multiple factors to it that allows us to know that it's guidance. It's easy to second guess ourselves. If I didn't have somebody to talk to reach out to around this opportunity that showed up yesterday, I might have jumped into it in a way that was actually overriding the more subtle cues that I had. So I think one of the things about intuition is that there's an alignment on a bunch of different levels. And what I mean by that is this opportunity, for example, that showed up yesterday had some red flags to it. It had some cautions that I was aware of, but I wanted to kind of dismiss them. I wanted to kind of allow them to fade into the background. Part of me wanted to not pay attention to those things because I wanted the fulfillment of my intention. And so being able to recognize the things, the red flags, being able to not obsess and not be fearful, but to listen to your gut. I mean, I I wish I could say it more clearly, to know it more clearly, but it's those things that make you go, I don't know about this. And I think when intuition is clear, we know. But there's that element of moving ahead without that clarity. And sometimes we can have that clarity and it still feels really uncomfortable and maybe counterintuitive. Maybe it doesn't necessarily make sense. Bernadette says, the symbols are different from the ones I had before my attack. Reading them to understand the message can be scary. For example, recurrence of standing in an altar to be married to a faceless man, but very distinctive voice. So I'm thinking of the first thing that comes to mind to me, and this, it doesn't mean that it's true, but the notion of being married at an altar to a man with a very distinctive voice. I don't know if you have an image of God as a male figure, but there's maybe this connection, like marriage is a sacred union. The first thing that comes to mind to me is following a path to God, whatever God might mean for you. But I could be way off. It doesn't necessarily mean something on this material plane. It doesn't necessarily presage a marriage, so to speak, but maybe a connection with divinity that you open the door to in your passage into another world, and then coming back. Maybe it's an invitation to be connecting with that world of spirit more deeply. It's just a first hit. So Bernadette says, have had a soul connection with divinity. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like. And so, it's an invitation into stepping into that commitment. It's really interesting because that was what a session that I did with a client was about yesterday, was really connecting more deeply to their relationship with divinity, and with their sage self, with their holiness, their connection to the divine. And I think we're all getting that invitation on some level or another, to be connecting with our higher self, our broader universal expression. And I think that that's what intuition is too, is this guidance system that allows us to navigate, and the thing to navigate toward that expression, toward that essential, authentic expression. The thing is learning to discern and really pay attention. So this isn't the first time that I've had opportunities that had some red flags to them that I then ignored, right? And so this time I was aware enough to say, I'm not so sure about this, and I'm not so sure I'm able to be objective, and I'm going to reach out. And I'm just so glad that I did, because it then allowed me to validate even further the nuanced red flags that I was recognizing but wanting to ignore. So part of intuition is being willing to be present to what's there, not just what we want to be there, and being willing to listen to that, to really feel into those hits that maybe we've been taught to override the hits in our gut that say, something's a little fishy here. And don't pretend not to pay attention. Something's a little fishy here. So let's learn to listen. That's really what the intuitive thing is. Let's learn to listen. So that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to like, follow, and share Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description. And as always, it's enlightening and delicious to have the opportunity to share in these morning musings. So until next time, so much love to you.